In Hollywood, every photo becomes a headline. Every appearance gets picked apart. And sometimes, one single change can send the internet into complete meltdown mode. That's exactly what happened when Keely Shea Smith, the longtime wife of former James Bond star Pierce Brosnan, stepped into the spotlight looking dramatically different. Almost overnight, social media exploded. Before and after photos flooded the internet. Headlines called it a stunning transformation. But behind all the viral reactions was a much deeper story. And once you see how it all unfolded, the conversation around Keely suddenly feels very different. Long before celebrity marriages became daily entertainment online, Pierce Brosnan was trying to rebuild his life after devastating heartbreak. In 1991, he lost his first wife, actress Cassandra Harris, to ovarian cancer. She was only 43 years old. Friends close to Brosnan later describe him as emotionally shattered. The grief followed him everywhere. But then, in 1994, during a trip to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, something unexpected happened. He met Keely Shea Smith. At the time, Keely was working as an entertainment journalist. She had actually been scheduled to interview actor Ted Danson that evening. But fate had other plans. Pierce noticed her immediately. And according to Keely, there was something magnetic about him too. Not just his looks, but his energy. His intensity. Their first evening together reportedly lasted until 3 a.m. beneath fireworks and live music. It sounded less like a Hollywood networking event and more like a scene from a movie. But here's what made the connection even more surprising. Keely was never just the wife of a famous actor. Long before meeting Brosnan, she had already built her own career. Born in California in 1963, she worked as a model, appeared in television productions, and later became a respected journalist. She interviewed major celebrities including Oprah Winfrey and Madonna. She even appeared in a music video with Huey Lewis back in the 1980s. Their relationship developed slowly and privately, far away from the usual Hollywood chaos. Then life moved fast. In 1997, the couple welcomed their first son, Dylan Thomas Brosnan. 4 years later came their second son, Paris Beckett Brosnan. And during those same years, Pierce Brosnan's career exploded globally. In 1995, he debuted as James Bond in GoldenEye, relaunching the franchise in spectacular fashion. Suddenly, he was everywhere. Red carpets, magazine covers, global premieres, luxury campaigns. But no matter where he went, Keely was always beside him. And that consistency became part of the fascination. In an industry filled with scandals, affairs, and messy celebrity divorces, their marriage seemed strangely stable. They married in Ireland in 2001 at the historic Ballintubber Abbey after 7 years together. The ceremony was heavily guarded and became one of the most talked about celebrity weddings in Ireland that year. But as the internet era arrived, the public's attention slowly shifted away from the love story and towards something else entirely. Keely's appearance. By the late 2000s and especially throughout the 2010s, celebrity culture had become obsessed with body commentary. Every photo turned into a comparison. Every appearance became a debate. And Keely Shea Smith found herself right in the middle of it. As she gained weight over the years, tabloids and online commenters became relentless. Then and now, photos spread everywhere. Side-by-side comparisons went viral. And suddenly, the internet treated her body like public property. But the reaction to those comments became just as intense. Many people defended Keely passionately. They called her naturally beautiful, authentic, real. Others pointed out how strange celebrity culture had become. Why were people shocked that a husband still loved his wife after decades together? Why was normal aging treated like some kind of scandal? And that's when Pierce Brosnan himself entered the conversation in a way nobody expected. Instead of dodging the topic through publicists or vague statements, Brosnan spoke openly. Repeatedly. He famously said, "I love my wife's curves." In other interviews, he described Keely as his North Star. He spoke less about appearance and more about emotional connection. about surviving life together, about growing older side by side. And because of his own painful past, those comments hit differently. This was a man who had already experienced unimaginable loss. His loyalty didn't feel performative. It felt real. But then, in 2025, everything changed again. New photos of Keely Shea Smith started appearing online. Red carpet appearances, public outings, event photos beside Pierce Brosnan. Only this time, people noticed something dramatically different almost immediately. She looked visibly slimmer. Within days, entertainment outlets everywhere began publishing headlines about her stunning transformation. Social media exploded once again. But this time, the conversation flipped completely. The same internet culture that had spent years criticizing her weight was suddenly celebrating her weight loss like a Hollywood comeback story. Media outlets pulled out old photos from the 1990s and placed them beside sleek 2025 images. One particularly viral comparison showed Keely beside Brosnan during the GoldenEye premiere in Sydney, contrasted against glamorous modern photos decades later. The visual difference became the entire story. But underneath all the headlines, people started asking a bigger question. How did she actually do it? Reports suggested Keely lost around 100 pounds gradually over roughly 2 years. But unlike many celebrity transformations, there were no miracle claims or shocking shortcuts. Instead, her approach appeared surprisingly balanced. Early on, she reportedly experimented with low-carb and Atkins-style diets. They helped initially, but eventually she shifted toward something more sustainable. That's where the real transformation began. She focused on consistency instead of extremes. Lean proteins, vegetables, whole grains, less processed sugar, breakfasts built around protein and fiber, salads with healthy fats, lighter dinners with vegetables and slow-digesting carbs like quinoa or brown rice. Instead of sugary drinks, she leaned toward water, green tea, and coffee. And rather than crash dieting, reports suggested she focused on gradual calorie balance and portion control. Nothing flashy. Nothing dramatic. But that wasn't the only change. Exercise became another major part of the process. Walking, cycling, cardio sessions, strength training, core exercises, yoga and stretching for flexibility and stress management. More importantly, she stayed consistent. No extreme all-or-nothing routines.
No impossible celebrity bootcamp.
Just repeatable habits built over time. And honestly, that's probably what surprised people the most. But here's where the story became much bigger than weight loss. The public reaction exposed a strange contradiction inside celebrity culture itself. Even when people defended Keely, they still focused almost entirely on her appearance. Her identity as a journalist, environmental advocate, filmmaker, and mother often disappeared behind headlines about transformations and aging. In trying to reject shallow beauty standards, the internet somehow reinforced them at the same time. Many online users also pointed out another uncomfortable truth. Pierce Brosnan had visibly aged too. His hair turned grey. His face changed. He looked older, just like any normal person would after decades. Yet discussions overwhelmingly centered on Keely's body instead of his. Aging men were often described as distinguished or silver foxes, while aging women became endless internet debates. And once people noticed that imbalance, the conversation took on an entirely different tone. Meanwhile, Brosnan and Keely continued doing what they had always done. Staying together. Showing up side by side. Living through fame, loss, parenthood, and decades of public scrutiny without turning their marriage into tabloid chaos. In modern Hollywood, that alone almost feels unusual now. Some people viewed Brosnan's public praise as romantic. Others argued the internet exaggerated it too much, treating basic loyalty like some extraordinary act. One viral comment summed it up bluntly. He wasn't being a hero for loving his wife after decades together. He was simply acting like a husband. And honestly, that debate revealed far more about society than it did about either of them. In the end, Keely Shea Smith's transformation became about much more than weight loss. It turned into a massive conversation about aging, beauty standards, marriage, loyalty, and the impossible expectations placed on women in the public eye. The internet compressed 30 years of someone's life into side-by-side photos and viral captions. But behind all the headlines was still the same couple that met in Cabo San Lucas back in 1994. Still together. Still standing side by side after all these years. And maybe that's the part people found hardest to stop talking about.